My ex-wife, 36 female, still keeps trying to get back together with me, 36 male, and our daughters, 16 female, want that to happen too, plus update. Original post. Doesn't really sound like a big problem, right? Yeah, well, while I wish I could just plain tell her to piss off and never bother me again, there is the matter of us having 2 daughters and sharing custody, so I can't excise her from my life on a permanent basis, not without removing our daughters too. We married fairly early in our lives. Back then we were 20 and had been dating for 3 years before that. Our daughters were born in the very first year of the marriage, and there were some complications, which meant my ex-wife would have difficulty conceiving again. Didn't matter to me at the time because I was just glad that she made it healthy and fine through the whole ordeal, and that we already had 2 beautiful baby girls to love and raise up. The marriage lasted for 9 years. Ended when I divorced her for cheating. I have absolutely no tolerance for it, and I don't believe in forcing myself to suffer needlessly for shit that wasn't my fault to begin with. While this might sound incredulous to some folks, any love that I have for my ex-wife was pretty much killed when I found out about her cheating and the details behind it. So yeah, this isn't a threat about me moving on from her. I've done that 7 years ago. Hell, I don't even hate her. I just don't give a damn about what goes on in her life unless it concerns our daughters. The problem is that it's only me that moved on from the whole thing. The ex-wife, her family, and even our daughters have been trying to get us back together, even though I have made it plain for everyone that I have no interest of ever doing that. Me not dating at first for a few years after the divorce might have been giving them false hope, but I sure as hell wasn't going to jump into another relationship so soon afterwards. Not with our daughters to look after. They were my number one priority, besides my own issues which stem from my ex's cheating. Those issues, by the way, got resolved with the help of friends, family, and some counseling. So yeah, that's over and done with. I have no issue in communicating with our girls, none whatsoever. Anything else? They can understand it's just fine. There's never been any fighting, no yelling, no nonsensical teenage rebellion thus far, no tantrums thrown, and so on. Pretty great, right? Except this whole thing. They know about her cheating on me, and it was their mother, in fact, who had told them about it, some 3 years ago or so. I imagine she's been feeding them some kind of bullshit since then, and I've asked her countless times to stop it, that it wasn't helping anyone, that it only prevented them from moving on. But the ex-wife didn't stop. She apparently just got subtler about it. In all the years since we divorced, she hasn't dated or slept with anyone else. While I suppose she thinks that's admirable, I don't. To be honest, I kind of find it insulting. When we were married, she had sex with someone else. But now she's just fine going without sex for 7 years? Whatever, that not that it matters. While I could ignore the occasional mentions of their mother, of how well she looks, of them showing me photos they took with her, obviously all dolled up for my sake, it's gotten worse lately. Why? Because I have a girlfriend. Clemence is not the first since the divorce, but she is the most serious relationship I've had since my marriage ended. She also happens to be 8 years my junior. Before getting together as a couple, we knew each other for 4 years through a shared hobby. So basically, it was a gradual transition from being friends to being involved with each other. I can honestly say I love this woman. It was a surprise to me when I realized that because while I didn't really want to admit it myself, I was afraid for a time that what my ex-wife did to me damaged me on some fundamental level and rendered me incapable of ever truly loving someone else like I once did for her. Initially, my daughters had very little to say about our relationship. Much like they didn't comment anything on the previous 2 I had post-divorce. But then they started coming home ahead of the schedule we set up in advance, and they'd find me and Clemence together. Nothing compromising, not sex or anything of the sort. Then came the grumbling. Then came the "why is she here?" question. Then came "it's not fair to mom what you're doing," as if I was actually doing this solely to spite or hurt their mother. So I sat them down and talked. And I talked, and I talked. That they just are not getting it. They simply won't give up on this preposterous fantasy of theirs where I get back with their mother. Clemens, thank God, has been understanding and isn't upset by their behavior. She's basically saying to give them time, but I kind of doubt that will work. It hasn't so far, so I have no idea why more time would change anything. Anyways, since I'm really out of ideas, I figured I might as well ask you folks here if any one of you might have an idea how to handle this. Is there even a way, an approach of any sort that could work on my daughter's realizing I will not, under any circumstances, get back together with her mother? Now for the top of comments before reading the update. Dude, I'm proud of you. You have done everything right. You just have one last thing to do. Don't let your ex push your buttons through your daughters. The way that you do that is to not get emotional about it. Realize that yes, it may be hard at first for your daughters, but they will get over it. They are getting older, so they will get a better perspective on everything. When they say stuff like, it isn't fair to your ex, tell them you have always had no intention of getting back with your wife, and you've made that plain to her, and just keep saying that over and over. Sooner or later, they will be forced to get it. If they keep bringing it up, tell them to drop it. They are insulting someone you care about, your new girl. If they respect you, they will respect her. Don't vary from the script. Broken record it. They will give up eventually. Don't feel guilty or let your ex use your kids to guilt you. Just don't care. To be honest, I find it kind of insulting. When we were married, she's had sex with someone else, but now she's just doing fine without sex for 7 years. Oh crap, their mother is messing up their future relationships with the boyfriends. They are being primed to think it's okay to have someone to cheat on them if they hear apologies and declarations of love, or alternatively, that it's going to work for them if they cheat and try hard enough to get the original person back so they can get the original unchanged relationship back. I think this is the time to seek out family counseling with them, as well as have informal chats on how they should navigate their own potential relationships. They are integrating the wrong message from their mother into this view on, this is how you love. They are being primed to think that it's okay to have someone cheat on them if they hear apologies and declarations of love, or alternatively that it's going to work for them if they cheat and try hard enough to get the original person back so that they can get the original unchanged relationship back. F me. I haven't really actually thought about that. I feel so effing stupid about this. Making it all about myself and how to get them to stop trying to get us back together when there's more at stake. I think this is the time to seek out family counseling with them, as well as have informal chats on how they should navigate their own potential relationships. They are integrating the wrong message from their mother into their view on, this is how you love. Seems like counseling is the only way to go now. I'll try and look up if my old counselor, the one that I used after the divorce, does these kind of family sessions. She helped me a lot with my own issues, and she's already familiar with the situation, so she might have better luck than someone else. Of course, if the girls don't like her or aren't responding to her, I'll certainly try and find another counselor for us, or them on their own to have sessions with. Thank you so much for bringing this to my attention. I have tried telling them dozens of times that while her mother and I are on good terms, it's only for them and not for us, at least not on my end. It just doesn't seem to be reaching them at all. Like I've said in other responses, I brought up her cheating to explain why I don't want to be with her mother, and they already knew about it. But they keep using the same approach every time of how she's faithful to me now. When I pointed out to them that she can't be faithful to me given that we're not together to begin with, they just ignored that. Now here's the thing that I think is messing with their minds. They never really saw their mother as anything but loving towards me or them, or at least they don't remember. If they did see her acting coldly and distant with me during that affair, and yes, it was an affair, just not a one-time thing, not that I wouldn't have divorced her either way, she was very much the opposite of loving in the bedroom. They never really saw that, nor should they have. My approaches for intimacy were often rebuffed, and I felt more and more dejected until one day I realized, with the help of a very close and very good friend, that there was nothing wrong with me, and therefore something had to be wrong with her, which is what led me to discover the affair. I started looking for reasons why our love life had suddenly dropped so much in quality and quantity, and it wasn't just sex. There were the small things missing from our daily lives too. And no, it sounds silly, but we always kissed at the front door in plain sight before either of us went to work. That's something that only now, in retrospect, became plain to see that was missing. Bottom line is, their mother denied me even the most basic of affection while giving it to someone else outside of her marriage. To me, that's unforgivable. They don't understand that, and they couldn't, not even if I told them, which I'd rather not. How hurtful can it be when you realize that your spouse didn't really give a damn about you all that much? So all this regret and remorse and pining for us to get back together, to me, it's worthless. What's the point? Where was all this supposed love and guilt and remorse when it should have really mattered the most? They seem to think that us being together would soon overwrite any unhappiness on my part. They can't really understand what it's like when you can't trust your partner, your spouse. God, I hope they never have to understand that. I would never wish for either of them to be cheated on. Now, I have talked with my ex-wife about this on numerous occasions, possibly 100 times by now, about not bringing up our adult lives and messing up our daughters. In one ear and out the other, as they say. Now, despite my initial apprehension, I will end up talking with them about how their mother's cheating impacted me. I'm not even doing it for myself at that point. But what another user here said about how they're internalizing this as their way to love has certainly got me worried. I have to make them understand that being cheated on or cheating on someone is not something to be taken lightly or just shrugged off. Regarding Clemens, she's not trying to be a mother figure to them at all. She knows that there are only 12 years difference between them, and that's not really enough for them to see her as a mother figure. Not to mention Clemens has no intentions of usurping their mother's place to begin with. Her approach is to just basically wait it out until they stop hoping for their mother and me to get back together. And then eventually, somewhere down the line, the relations between them will be comfortable enough to spend more and more time around each other, which is, if all things go as expected, going to happen sooner than later. To be fair, my daughters are not exactly being pissy, nor are they disrespectful up in her face or behind her back. Hell, they don't actually hate her mom from what I've gathered. They just preferred me to be back with their mom, that's all. Now for the update. It's been a while since I was first here, and I was reminded recently that I owed an update to the kind and good people here who helped me with our troubles. A lot of things have happened. Among those things, my daughter actually stumbled across my post, and I had no idea they even browsed Reddit, let alone this place. When I came home from work one day, I found them crying. They pretty much jumped me, hugged me, wouldn't let me go, and begged me to forgive them. Sadly, they had read one of my replies and found out the dreadful extent of my wife's affair and how much it had devastated me. It took us a while, but we got through it. As a family, there was nothing for me to forgive. They're still young and they love their mother, who took that love and used it to manipulate them. That's on her, not them. There was some much needed counseling, but after several months, the woman who was helping us heal and move on has said that nothing more was needed to be done, and they should only check in with her once in a while. Rather than continue their weekly sessions, we're closer than we were before, but our relationship with their mother has suffered for it, which I think is completely understandable, but I still caution them about lingering too much on what she did. Since I had gotten over what she had did all those years ago, that was something that was also resolved in counseling, both their own and our shared ones, so it's all behind us now. I had a brief confrontation with my ex-wife about it and made it clear that she was to not talk about this getting back together nonsense anymore with our daughters. I can't tell if it really got through to her, but my daughters have not been pestering me about it since. Or they have simply ignored their mother and don't bring it up at home. Either way, just as long as my daughters are doing fine, I could care less about what my ex-wife is doing, since the situation has improved things and have become so much better between my daughters and also my girlfriends, so much that they actually started talking with her rather than just exchanging tears, greetings, and goodbyes. even occasionally asking for tips on something girly stuff, of course. And I can't tell you how much it warmed my heart to see it happening for the first time. I'll admit that also helped me push my thoughts in the direction of proposing to my girlfriend, who has been incredibly supporting and understanding through all this. And we have known each other for a long time. Now spent so much time as a couple, and after all this mess, I didn't really think that there was anything more that I could do to express my love for her. However, I was beaten to the punch 2 months ago. Clements, together with my daughter, surprised me one day and proposed to me. I have to say that I felt very odd, but also very happy. And not just the proposal, but that my daughters had actually worked with my girlfriend on surprising me with the dinner and a night out, and put it simply, I was blown away. It was a small and private ceremony with only our closest friends and family attending. Currently, we're also expecting, and my daughters are looking forward to having a baby brother or sister to spoil. Story 2. Update. Things escalating with my wife's male coworker, or am I overthinking? Original post. So my wife, 28-year-old female, always talks about her married male coworker now for 6 months. Like always, I, 35-year-old male, have been suspicious now from the beginning, but didn't want to prematurely overreact on it. I did notice that she added him on Instagram and also Snapchat, and put the message setting to disappear in 24 hours. 2 weeks ago, while talking again about him, she mentions how her other female worker told her that her male coworker hasn't been touched by his wife for years now. When she told me that, I thought it was odd, and why would he be sharing such personal information with his female coworkers? But I didn't act on it or do much. Then over this weekend, while I was working in the kitchen washing dishes, my wife, seemingly to be overly cheerful and in a good mood, stands behind me and rubs my shoulders, and using a massage technique, and asks me if I like that feeling because she tried it on her male coworker at work. Right away I was shocked and thought that that was odd, but I haven't said anything more to her because when I attempted, she got defensive and said that she was in a good mood, and I am ruining her day by making her feel guilty about something that is not bad. Then she continued and cried, so I apologized and told her I was sorry for that response, but we still needed to address it another day when we were both calm. I just find it odd that she would touch him after hearing that he hasn't been touched physically by his wife. But the fact she told me about it makes me think that maybe she didn't think much of it. Or did she not mean to tell me that and overshared it with me in excitement? I am very concerned because in the 7 years of marriage with her, I have never seen her even touch her brothers. I know she hates touching strangers or even being touched by strangers. At least that's the image I know of her. Also, especially that 2 weeks ago she mentioned that this married coworker is not getting touched at home, and her response to that is to touch him? Either she is naive or onto something. I don't know what is going on here. I feel like maybe there is more happening. I don't know, am I overthinking this? How should I proceed? Is she catching feelings for him? Or subconsciously likes him but denying her own emotions? Is this male coworker seeking an opportunity with my wife? Now for the update. I checked her Snapchat while she was in the shower and went to her coworker contacts and noticed something very strange. She had disabled notifications coming from him. I looked at all of her other contacts on Snapchat and noticed he was the only one who had disabled notifications on. So that means her phone will never buzz while we're spending time together so that she can secretly go when she is in the bathroom to check her Snapchat from him. Maybe I'm going crazy, but this has to mean something. Story 3. Am I the a-hole for snapping at my sister-in-law after she accused me of trying to replace my kid's father? I, 33 female, became widowed when I was just 29. I spent 9 wonderful years with my husband John, and we were happily married for more than 6 of those years. We welcomed our first daughter Ellie, 11 female, and he was a doting father to her. His death was so unexpected and sudden, and he was only 32, and it broke me and Ellie. It was even more sad because we had found out not long before he died that I was pregnant with Sophie, 3 female, and he never got to meet her. I have spent the last 4+ years being on my own, all my attention went to Ellie to help cope with losing her dad and to provide the best life I could for her and my unborn child as a single mom. I convinced myself I was content with being fulfilled by motherhood and watching the two people I love more than anything grow and be happy. But it's been incredibly lonely. I have missed company and companionship, or even just having someone to talk to. So I decided to put myself back out there. I joined a dating site about 2 or 3 months ago, and I really hit it off with Danny after being on there for a couple of weeks, 35 male. We have been on several dates and have been talking a lot. I know it's early, but it's honestly feels so refreshing just to have someone to talk to about my day or about me, as I spent so long just forgetting about me for the sake of my kids, that it's nice that I have someone that wants to get to know me. It's like I have opened up a part of myself and allowed myself to be happy after so long. I love my husband very much, and I have missed him terribly, but I know he's never coming back. I think 4 years is a long time to spend on your own, and I think even I have felt it long enough that it's okay to meet someone else. I was really excited, so I decided to tell my sister-in-law, my late husband's sister, as she is very close to my nieces and helped me a lot when John died. I told her that I have met someone, it's going well, he is very nice, I feel happy around him, and that I hope it progresses eventually. She didn't take the news well and actually got really angry and said that I'm moving on too quickly and that I'm trying to replace John. I got really angry myself and I snapped. I asked for how long did she expect me to be on my own? 5 years, 10, until the kids are grown? I told her I have spent 4 years mourning and that she had some nerve to insinuate my husband's death meant nothing to me and that I'm going to let some random man enter into my children's lives, which isn't happening at all. He hasn't met my kids and he isn't going to anytime soon, if at all, depending on how well things go with us. Plus, I'm not looking for someone to replace John or someone to become a dad to my children. I just miss romance, that's all. I haven't really spoken to her since, as her comments have left me furious. She has sent me messages saying she is sorry, that I took her words the wrong way, but that she is just looking out for me and the kids. But I think it's BS. I've been discussing this with a friend of mine and asked for her opinion. She thinks that I've sacrificed a lot over the last few years, and I am allowed to move on with my life. She also says that my sister-in-law is completely out of line and was deeply insensitive, especially since my husband's death completely broke me, and it was like my whole world was taken from me. That's all for today. If you're enjoying this story, please like the video and share your thoughts in the comment section down below. Thank you.